8,
7, 6, 5,
4,
3,
1.
0.
Welcome to worship, everybody, wherever you are, whenever it is. It's great that you all join with us in this different way again. Today we're into the holiday period, we're into August, so it means there's lots of holidays being taken, including for some of the core team here as well. So as we often do, or as we have done for many years now, in August, the first Sunday and the last Sunday in August, it's not that we're not worshipping, we're just not worshipping together. We're still going to church, we're just doing it differently. So here we are on YouTube. Jane, what have we got today?
Well, welcome to worship today. It's great to have you with us. Lee, have you got any plans for the summer?
Oh, plans for the summer. Yeah, I'll be working. But not all the time. Holiday, end of July. You have to forgive us because we're obviously recording this before it goes out onto YouTube. So we haven't been on our first holiday yet. That's one of the reasons why this is happening, because we'll be ending our first holiday and then time back, planning, preparing, working, because I do work as well, and then holiday at the end of the August as well. Why? What have you got planned? Nothing.
Not the same as you. Some people might think nothing, but there is going to be plenty going on. As we travel through worship today, if you would like to be doing something with your hands while you're watching, singing along, whatever you will be doing to join in with us, you could get some fruit, cut it up, and see if you can make some sort of plant with it, a plant picture or a tree picture, and you'll see how that works in to worship, hopefully, as we travel through and we listen to John Mark Homer later on. But first of all, we're going to watch a clip from Despicable Me. Now, I love Despicable Me. And in this clip, Gru is telling the girls his list of rules. Watch the screens.
Okay. Clearly, we need to set some rules. Rule number 1. You will not touch anything.
What about the floor?
Yes, you may touch the floor.
What about the air?
Yes, you may touch the air.
What about this?
Ah! Where did you get that?
Found it.
Okay, rule number 2, you will not bother me while I'm working. Rule number 3, you will not cry, or whine, or laugh, or giggle, or sneeze, or burp, or fart. So, no annoying sounds, right?
Does this count as annoying?
Very.
As you can see from that clip, that list of rules seemed impossible to actually fulfill for the girls. And the girls argued back and made reasons and saying, well, can we do this? Can we do that? Do we go to God like that? Do we ask him, oh, do we have to do that? Do we have to do that? Well, God isn't like Gru. His list of rules aren't impossible, and he's there to help us, and he's not trying to make life impossible for us, but actually better.
And the reason for that clip is because, as Jane said a little bit earlier, if you watched back in June when we weren't here, when our eldest was getting married, we had John Mark Comer from, he used to be Bridgetown, Portland, Oregon. We've got his teaching again today, so we've got a special preacher coming to us, but he's going to be telling us all about a rule of life and how we need to prepare and plan a rule of life so that we can follow God's journey with us even better. Not rules as you think of rules, but instead making sure we do things at the right times and in the right way. So that is why that clip was played. That is why Jane has said what she has. I'm not sure where the fruit picture comes into it.
That's because the Bible reading.
Ah, now I'm with you. Okay, so hopefully you'll get that when the Bible reading comes along, because as always, there's no short change from these worship gatherings when we record to YouTube. You get it all: songs, prayers, all sorts of things. Everything that you would expect will be delivered just via this form. So hopefully you've heard enough from us now. We've led you into it. You'll enjoy the rest of our time together. And then the announcements, as always, the announcements will come right at the end. We're back in the building next Sunday, but the announcements will come right at the end. So make sure you watch right the way through. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and listen to what God has to say to you.
We believe in one God the Father, the Almighty, the Maker of all, the one who rules the seen and unseen. We believe and we adore Jesus Christ, one Lord of creation, from the Father begotten, not made. He is the light from light, eternal, and the God of every age. All glory to the Father now, all honor to the Son, and praise the Spirit now and always. This is the God we love. For this world and for our salvation, He came down from the heavens above, born of a virgin and the Spirit, truly man and truly God. He was crucified under Pilate, suffered death and was laid in the grave. our faith, our anthem. This is the God we love. This is the God we love. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. We sing holy. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love.
Jesus, the true vine. At this time, the Jewish people were celebrating a festival called Passover that had been celebrated since the time of Moses, when God brought his people out of Egypt. Jesus went to Jerusalem to celebrate.
Yeah!
Jesus and his disciples were having the Passover meal together. Jesus told them many things of what was to come and the trials they would face. Then Jesus told his disciples that he is like the true grapevine and God is the gardener. God will cut off any branch that doesn't produce fruit. He will also prune a branch so it can produce more fruit. Jesus told his disciples that God had already done this to them because of what Jesus had taught them. Jesus said, "Remain in me, and I will remain with you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is cut off from the vine." Then he said, "Yes, I am the vine and you are the branches." He told them that if they continued to have a relationship with him, they would produce much fruit. But if they didn't continue to have a relationship with him, they would wither away. Branches that wither away like that are thrown into the fire. Jesus said that if his disciples remained in him, that they would be able to ask anything in Jesus' name, and it would be given. They would bear much fruit, and this would bring great glory to God. Then Jesus said that he loved his disciples as God the Father loved him. He told his disciples to remain in his love by obeying his commandments.
Oh, he's the king over me. So I'm gonna cling to the things that come from him. I'm not gonna turn or bow my knee to anything else that pretends to be my king. Let's do that again. Oh, he's the king over me. So I'm gonna cling to the things that come from him. I'm not gonna turn or bow my knee to anything else that pretends to be my king. The king says love, so I will love. The king says peace, so that's good for me. The king says serve, so I will serve. The
I love driving through wine country and seeing row after row of green, each vine rooting itself in the earth and reaching up to the sun to grow. I'm struck by how essential the trellis is to the vine. You never see a vine growing wild on the ground. It always has a support structure underneath it. And I can't help but think of Jesus' teaching. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you abide in me, you will bear much fruit. The soul of a disciple of Jesus is like a branch in a vine, and we too need a trellis in order to grow. In the Christian tradition, this is called a rule of life. Transformation is possible, but it's not inevitable. It won't just happen. We need a plan. Pete Scazzero of Emotionally Healthy Discipleship has said, nurturing a growing spirituality with depth in our present-day culture will require a thoughtful, conscious, intentional plan for our spiritual lives. We all have a plan for the things we most value. Most of us have a plan for our money, or what we call a budget. We have a plan for our time, or what we call a schedule. Many of us have a plan for our career, or summer vacation, or our diet or exercise routine, but not for our apprenticeship to Jesus. I've been around soccer moms with more of a plan for their kids' pathway to professional sports than for their discipleship to Jesus. The question is, how do we make a plan to be spiritually formed? Let me introduce you to the answer the first followers of Jesus came up with. They called it a rule of life. A rule of life is a schedule and a set of practices and relational rhythms that create space for us to be with Jesus, become like him, and do as he did. It's an intentional plan to slow down and simplify our life around being spiritually formed by Jesus. Rule of life is ancient language, so it can sound strange or even off-putting to our modern ears. But notice, it's rule of life, singular, not rules for life, plural. The original Latin word used by our spiritual ancestors was regula, where we get English words like regular and regulation, as well as rule and ruler, because it literally means a straight piece of wood. Some scholars believe it was the word used in the ancient Mediterranean for a trellis in a vineyard. In John 15, Jesus gave his most famous teaching on spiritual formation. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. Early Christian teachers picked up on Jesus' metaphor and followed it to its logical conclusion. For a vine to bear much fruit, what does it need? A trellis, a support structure to lift it up off the ground, guide it in the desired direction, and guard it from damage, disease, and dangerous predators. In the same way, to abide in the vine and bear much fruit, apprentices of Jesus need a trellis, a support structure, to guard and guide their lives into transformation. A rule of life is exactly that, a trellis. It's a way to schedule into our daily life practices and relational rhythms that align our time and our habits to our deepest desires to be with Jesus and become like him. The motivation behind a rule isn't duty, it's desire. Think of the way an athlete disciplines themselves with daily drills, or a musician with daily practice. It's all in service of a deeper desire. They know we have to connect our desires to daily disciplines if we want to see them become a reality. For apprentices of Jesus, a rule of life is made up of daily practices, like beginning your day in prayer and the reading of Scripture. Weekly practices, like keeping Sabbath and gathering with community. And monthly practices, like serving the poor and preaching the gospel. It's all the practices we intentionally, repeatedly do to offer our lives up to God for transformation. Put another way, a rule of life is an intentional plan for our spiritual formation. And in the chaos of modern life, with all its hurry and digital distraction and cross pressures, we need a rule more than ever before. It's an ancient idea whose time has come again. You may love this concept of a rule of life, or you may hate it, especially if you're a more spontaneous and fun-loving personality, or if you come out of a legalistic religious background and are wary of any talk of rules. But here's the thing, you already have a rule of life, whether it's written or unwritten, conscious or subconscious, wise or foolish, based on long-term vision or short-term instant gratification, moving you toward your desired destination or sabotaging your best intentions. Even if you have never heard the phrase rule of life until 3 minutes ago, you have one. We all do. We have a way in which we live, a morning routine, a typical workday, a network of relationships, a budget, things we spend our time on, and more. The question is not, do you have a rule of life? It's, do you know what your rule of life is? And is it giving you the life you most deeply desire? Is it working for you or against you? Many of us feel far from God so much of the time, always in a hurry, stuck in our spiritual formation, still living and wounding from our past or dysfunctional patterns in our present. The problem is not that our rule of life isn't working. It's that it is. You and I are being formed, for better or worse, by the choice architecture of our lives, by all the habits and relationships and environments and decisions that fill our days, by our rule of life.
I discovered I had a rule of life, an unconscious rule of life, while I was working on this book, The Tech-Wise Family. And it dawned on me, writing this book about technology and family life, that I had an absolutely ironclad practice every single day of walking downstairs when I got up in the morning, and the first thing I did was look at my phone. That's what you do in the morning, right? Look at your phone. And, I'd be making tea, but even before the tea was finished, I'd let the glowing rectangle tell me whatever I needed to pay attention to. All the urgencies, all the outrages, all the demands, all the opportunities. And somehow I had the presence of mind one morning to think this cannot possibly be the best way to start my day, because it would just instantly adrenalate me, So I thought, well, what could I do instead that would be kind of a sufficient counter-discipline to this habit of picking up my phone every day? And I thought, what I ought to do is go outside. So I decided that every day, after making my tea, there's one habit I'm not going to give up, which is tea first, but I'd take my tea outside and just walk out the front door, stand outside just for a few moments, and just experience whatever the day had for me before I turned to the glowing rectangle. And the first 2 weeks that I was trying this, every day was a ridiculous spiritual battle. Like, this is not a complicated thing to do. And yet every morning it was like this phone, I could almost sense like a voice calling to me from the little phone. Don't you need to check me? Don't you want to try me? And I'd have to resist and say, no, get behind me. I'm going outside first. 2 weeks in, I heard the voice, just like the days before, but something absolutely flipped. And instead of feeling temptation and allure, all I felt was revulsion and repulsion. Like, why would I invest in you this most beautiful first moment of my day rather than go out and be a creature in God's creation. And ever since I've done this, it is one of the most spiritually transformative things I've done with my life, probably in the last 10 years, maybe embarrassingly. Just step outdoors, whatever the weather is, wherever I am in the world. Sometimes I walk down flights and flights of stairs if I'm staying in a hotel or something, and just spend a moment being who I really am, which is a very small part of a very large world, rather than what I am on the screen, which is a very large part of a very small world. And it's been a gift to choose to be who I really am. And that's what our disciplines are for. That's what the real rule is for, is to choose to be who I know I am and want to be.
And now we're finally ready to craft a rule of life. Everything we do is invitational. We make recommendations, you make the decisions. But if you're ready to take the next step in your apprenticeship to Jesus and make an intentional plan for your spiritual formation, let me offer you a few tips. 1, start small. It's easy to get overexcited and overreach, but this is a strategy doomed to fail. When it comes to the spiritual life, as a general rule, start where you are, not where you should be. We must find God inside the contours of our ordinary life, not the life we used to have, or plan to have, or wish we had, but the life we actually have. So start wherever you are. For most of us, that means start small, with what psychologists call tiny habits, small, easy, joyful practices for life with God. Yes, a full hour every morning for prayer before you touch your phone is ideal. But if that's too big of a leap, start with 15 minutes, or 10 minutes, or 2 minutes. Start there. Secondly, think subtraction, not addition. Take out more than you put in. Less is more. It's tempting to write your rule as a list of things to do, and that's not all bad. But for most of us, it's just as important, if not more so, to make a list of what we're not going to do. A rule of life is not about doing more, but doing less. It's about ruthlessly eliminating hurry from your life. Third, take a balanced approach. You can plot the practices of Jesus along 4 axis points: disciplines you do alone and those you do in community, and disciplines of doing, like worship or feasting or service, and of not doing, like solitude, silence, or fasting. Naturally, you're going to be drawn to some practices and shy away from others. That's totally normal. Just make sure you design a rule that covers the whole range of your formation, not just your personality preferences. That said, take into account your personality and season of life. Work with your personality, not against it. If you're more introverted and intellectual, carve out plenty of time to read and reflect. If you're more extroverted and action-oriented, prioritize doing meaningful things with other people. Yes, we need a balanced approach, but some of us need way more of certain practices than others. Design a rule that is congruent with your personality and season of life. Just as our budget and schedule change through the various seasons of our life, our rule must as well. Fifth, there is no formation without repetition. Formation is slow and at times monotonous work. In the moment, it often doesn't feel like it's doing anything to us at all. It is, it's just slow. But over time, the practices have a cumulative effect upon our spiritual formation. It's like Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid. In the moment, we just feel like we're waxing Mr. Miyagi's car or pounding nails into the dojo edition. But actually, we're becoming a karate master. In the moment, we just feel like we're beginning our day in prayer or practicing Sabbath or going to church. But actually, we're becoming like our master, Jesus. We just have to stay with the process and find joy in our ordinary life with God. Finally, do this in community. It's easy to think of crafting a rule of life as something I do. I write my rule. That's not all bad. To repeat, you already have a rule, so anything that brings more intentionality to your apprenticeship to Jesus is powerful. But historically, a rule of life was for a community. It was designed to hold a community together around shared rhythms of spiritual formation. And following a rule in community can change everything. There's something about starting the Sabbath, not just by yourself, but with a meal in community, makes the entire practice so much more fun. There's something about fasting on Fridays and knowing that you're doing it with your community. All of you are pooling the money you would have spent on food together to give to your local food bank. It's just better in community. So, as you make a rough draft this coming week of your first rule of life, if at all possible, do it in community. You could do it with one friend, or your small group, or table community, or women's Bible study, or even with your entire church. This will be a lot messier and take a lot longer to figure out, but that's okay. It will be worth it. This does not need to feel overwhelming. Again, start small. Your rule may start as 2 or 3 simple practices. Beginning your day by reading a psalm, getting coffee with a close friend once a week, and spending a few hours each Sunday in Sabbath rest. That's a beautiful start. You can always add practices in over time. Just take the next step.
Speaking of doing this all in community, let's take a few minutes to process this concept of a rule of life and dream together about what this could look like. What makes up your current rule of life? As John Mark shared, we already have a rule of life. What practices and relationship are currently the most central to your life and discipleship to Jesus? Second, as you think about designing a rule of life, how would you describe the spiritual needs of your personality and current season of life? Third, what practices do you want to include in your rule of life? And fourth, who would be important to incorporate in the process of building your rule of life?
We now come to the exercise. When I was in my 20s, I was working in the corporate world in Japan as what they call a 7-Eleven man, which meant that my workday went from 7 in the morning until 11 at night. My life felt crazy back then. When I became a pastor in Vancouver, Canada, I found myself working almost the same hours. I felt like I was constantly treading water. Establishing a rule of life, having a rhythm of life that supports my relationship with Jesus has felt like a literal lifeline. It's been the most life-giving and transformative practice of my life. Ideally, your rule of life will feel like a gift, not an obligation, a get to, not a have to. If after crafting your rule, your life feels heavier, you likely have a self-constructed routine, not a Holy Spirit-inspired rhythm. If your rule is Spirit-inspired, your life will feel supported, lighter, and freer. Remember, as is true of the Sabbath, the rule is made for you, not you for the rule. Now, there's no one right way to do this. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to spiritual formation. Feel free to be creative. Make sure your rule fits the unique person you are. But you may find it helpful to think about practices and relational rhythms in 3 categories: daily, weekly, and monthly or seasonally. First, let's look at daily. What do you want to do and not do on a daily basis? For example, you might want to begin your day in silent prayer and by reading scripture. And you might not want to begin your day by looking at the news feeds or social media posts on your phone. Second, weekly. What do you want to do on a weekly basis? For example, you might want to honor the Sabbath, worship at church, and share a meal with your community. Third, monthly or seasonally. What rhythms do you want to work into your life regularly? For instance, you might want to incorporate the practice of a retreat or a day in solitude, or serving those living in poverty, or sharing hospitality with your neighbors. Our hope is that you will build on this foundation and continue to refine it over time. If you're unable to incorporate all these practices, seek to live your rule as you can, not as you can't. As you write your rule of life, tap into your deepest desires, what you most want in your life with God, and the kind of person you long to become. Let your God-given desires fuel your actions. Let your vision of life to be with Jesus and to become like Jesus inspire you to practice the way. May God give you wisdom, creativity, joy, and peace as you craft your rule of life.
Power, your great power, it comes to me in my darkest hour. Grace, it sets me free. It's a love that waits for me. It waits for me. I don't know how, but I will be found. Perfect peace, it stills my heart and it makes it beat. He set me free, free from sin. I let him in, I let him in. He brought me through and made me new. For my God is higher than my faults and failures, and He knows the deepest fears I keep inside, and He's strong enough to break the hold of all my selfish pride. When I'm wandering in the darkness, He's my guide. Love, endless love, it bursts my heart and it fills my lungs. It breaks me down and builds me up. It gives me more, more than enough, more than enough. He's wonderful, so sings my soul. For my God is higher than my faults and failures, and He knows the deepest fears I keep inside, and He's strong enough to break the hold of all my selfish pride. When I'm wandering in the darkness, He's my guide. higher than my faults and failures. And He knows the deepest fears I keep inside. And He's strong enough to break the hold of all my selfish pride. When I'm wandering in the darkness, He's my guide. And He's strong enough to break the hold of all my selfish pride. When I'm wandering in the darkness, He's my guide. When I'm wandering in the darkness, He's my guide.
The redeemed of the Lord tell their story, how we were dead in our sin, but now we're saved. Let them remember, if not for His mercy, we would be empty and buried in the grave. I was lost, walking in circles, I was blind, stuck in the middle. Jesus Christ, I heard your voice, it called me. Hey! So I'm dancing out loud in your presence, unashamed. I've seen your goodness, no more chains. I am forgiven, oh my God, you set me free. Something is happening, I've got to tell somebody. I've got a joy and I've got to let it out. So to anyone who hear my testimony, I've been redeemed, I've been recovered by His love. Yes, I was lost, walking in circles. I was blind, stuck in the middle. Jesus Christ, I heard your voice, it called me. So I'm dancing now, God in your presence, unashamed. I've seen your goodness, no more chains. I am forgiven, oh my God, you set me free, yeah. You set me free. You set me free. Did He set you free, yeah? Oh my God, you set me free, yeah. You set me free. Oh, you set me free. Yes, you did. Oh my God. Come on, we sing this together. You set me free. The sun sets free. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm no longer bound. You have ransomed me. 'Cause who the sun sets free. Who the sun sets free. Oh, it's free indeed. Oh, it's free indeed. No, I'm no longer bound. I'm no longer bound. 'Cause you have ransomed me. You have ransomed me. 'Cause who the sun sets free. Who the sun sets free. Oh, it's free indeed. Oh, it's free indeed. 'Cause I'm no longer bound. I'm no longer bound. Yes, you have ransomed me. You have ransomed me. 'Cause who the sun sets free. Who the sun sets free. Yes, they're free indeed. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm no longer bound. I'm no longer bound. 'Cause you have ransomed me. You have ransomed me. I'm free.
Transformation is possible, but it's not inevitable. We need an intentional plan for our spiritual formation, what the early Christians called a rule of life. A rule of life is a schedule and a set of practices and relational rhythms that create space for us to be with Jesus, become like Jesus, and do as he did. When crafting a rule for the first time, it's important to start small and begin with subtraction, not addition.
The novelist Annie Dillard famously said, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. What we do with this hour and that one is what we are doing. A schedule defends from chaos and whim. It is a peace and a haven set into the wreck of time. It is a lifeboat on which you find yourself decades later still living." A rule of life is a way to live with greater intentionality, to line up our schedule with the deepest desires of our heart, to be with and become like Jesus. But it must be said, following Jesus is not a formula, it is a friendship. A rule of life is not a regimen of spiritual disciplines by which we habit stack our way to spiritual maturity. A rule of life is just a way to put friendship with Jesus at the center of our life, not off to the side. And through the practices that make up our rule, we offer up our whole life, the good, the bad, and even the ugly, all that we are, up to God in love. Again, transformation is God's work, not ours. We are not in control of our spiritual formation. God does it his way, at his pace. Living by a rule is just a way to say daily, "God, here I am. Heal me, free me, transform me. I love you. Love me into a person of love."
May Jesus teach you to pray, to commune and communicate with our Father, and lead you into a deeper life of union with the Spirit.